Unprecedented chaos and violence in the American Capitol, but it failed to stop Congress certifying Joe Biden as the next U.S. president. The deadly rioting by pro-Trump supporters resulted in several Trump loyalists backing away from challenging the election results. Now, in just the past few hours, Donald Trump has finally said that there will be an orderly transition on the 20th of January. But that assurance didn't come before chaos and mayhem swept Washington, D.C. Pro-Trump supporters storming the Capitol. 4 people died during those clashes, 3 from medical complications, another from a gunshot wound. A state of emergency has been extended for 15 days. In a moment, live to Simon Marks in Washington at the start of a new day. First, a look at how it all unfolded.
This was the moment protesters breached police lines and forced their way onto Capitol Hill. They broke windows, rampaged through offices, and stormed onto the floor of the Senate and the House of Representatives. The pro-Trump rioters were pumped up and eager for action after Donald Trump's rally near the Capitol. He had repeated his false claims about winning the election and urged them to march to Capitol Hill.
We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is all about. And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal.
Rioters grappled with police. Their aim was to disrupt the confirmation of President Donald Trump's defeat. At the time, Congress was meeting to certify Joe Biden's victory in the presidential election. Lawmakers in the building were told to hide in their offices or were taken to secured rooms.
I feel secure right now. I just spoke to some of the Capitol police. I'm actually over in one of the Senate office buildings.
In the shocking scenes of chaos and mayhem, officers could be seen drawing their guns. As violence escalated, one woman was shot and later died. Witnesses say the woman defied police calls to get out of the way before an officer opened fire. During the standoff, at least one Trump supporter entered the Senate chamber. Others tried to break down the House door. Police officers stood guard with guns drawn. Officers locked down the building and fired tear gas to try to bring the situation under control.
We were just told that there has been tear gas in the rotunda, and we're being instructed to each of us get gas masks that are under our seats.
Police struggled for more than 3 hours after the invasion to clear out the protesters. The White House then deployed the National Guard. And President Trump finally urged his supporters to go home, but still insisted the election was stolen.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
Police have arrested more than 50 people in what's considered the most damaging attack on the heart of American democracy since the 1800s.
A chaotic 24 hours in Washington. We cross live there now and join Simon Marks. Good morning, Simon. Absolutely astonishing events in Washington. At the start of a new day now, has the mood improved?
Well, I think it's very difficult to know, Dawn. It is dawn here in Washington, D.C., as you can see, and people are waking up to the news that as many as 4 people died as a result of that mob storming their way into the U.S. Capitol building after having been whipped up into a frenzy by President Trump during the so-called Save America rally yesterday, and they're also waking up to the fact that President Trump, through a surrogate, and this has not been distributed officially by the White House in any fashion on its usual media channels, has grudgingly committed to a peaceful transfer of power here. It is far from clear that American democracy is simply going to shrug all this off and say, OK, right, let's just power forward to Joe Biden's inauguration. There are costs and consequences of what took place here yesterday. Huge questions for Capitol Hill police. How on earth could this possibly have happened? What would have happened if these were terrorists, international terrorists, as opposed to people that Democrats at least are characterizing as domestic terrorists storming the building? And massive questions for the Republican Party, split as it has been between those people who have continued to hew, even within the last few hours, to Donald Trump's false claims of election fraud, and those who have said enough weeks ago, it's time to call time on this presidency. Massive questions and investigations ahead here.
Yeah, Simon, Mr. Trump is now committed to an orderly transition, as he put it. There's talk of removing him, though, even before the 20th.
Yeah, and I think that talk is only going to grow. We know that as of last night, at least 9 members of the House of Representatives were actively drafting articles of impeachment in a bid to get him impeached in the House and then convicted in the Senate, not just to remove him from power, but to make sure that he can never again seek public office in the United States. His former Defense Secretary, Jim Mattis, a man who was pretty tacit about some of the abuses within the Trump administration when he served alongside the president, said last night that Donald Trump is going to be left a man without a country. There are other options available. Vice President Mike Pence, the cabinet and the congressional leadership could invoke the 25th Amendment to the Constitution to remove Donald Trump from power. Capitol Hill, Congress could simply decide to censure the president and his actions, not just yesterday, but over the last several weeks. It's very hard to know right now who is running the country. Vice President Mike Pence and members of the cabinet appear yesterday to have acted independently of President Trump in a bid to try and bring the situation on Capitol Hill to some kind of a peaceful conclusion by the end of the day, despite the violence that had earlier occurred. From Donald Trump, denied access to Twitter and Facebook, only that 1-minute video put out last night in which he praised the people who had stormed the Capitol building. It's very unclear to what extent he is still actively running this country.
Simon, there have also been a series of resignations at the White House, the Deputy National Security Advisor among them. Are these connected at all to the violence that we saw yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely directly. I mean, we know that Melania Trump's chief of staff resigned yesterday. A deputy White House press secretary resigned yesterday, specifically citing the events that had taken place on Capitol Hill. We know that National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien has been considering whether he can remain in government. He is one of those officials who absolutely seemed to rise yesterday to the occasion and move in ways that he made absolutely clear through his Twitter account had not been sanctioned by President Donald Trump. We know that Vice President Mike Pence's chief of staff, Mark Short, was ordered to be banned from the White House grounds by President Trump yesterday, and says that the president is furious with him and with the vice president. And Donald Trump broke with Vice President Mike Pence yesterday on Twitter and behind the scenes at the White House. That relationship is over. If Donald Trump stays in the White House for the next 13 days, does Mike Pence remain as Vice President of the United States? Just some of the enormous questions we are facing here in the hours that lie ahead.
Yes, and thank you for keeping an eye on all of them for us. Simon Marks speaking to us from Washington, D.C. after a tumultuous 24 hours in the U.S. Capitol. Now, Democrat and Republican leaders have condemned the violence which took aim at the seat of power in the United States. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram have also taken action, temporarily suspending President Trump's accounts.
Chaos on Capitol Hill has spurred a flurry of reactions from past, present, and future U.S. leaders. President-elect Joe Biden denounced the unrest and urged President Donald Trump to step up and end the violence.
To storm the Capitol, to smash windows, to occupy offices, the floor of the United States Senate, rummaging through desks, on the Capitol, on the House of Representatives, threatening the safety of duly elected officials. It's not protest, it's insurrection.
Former Democratic President Barack Obama called the attack on Congress a moment of great dishonor and shame for America. He added that the chaos was not unexpected, but incited by President Trump, baselessly lying about the outcome of a lawful election. Former Republican President George W. Bush called the chaos an insurrection. He described the manic scenes as heartbreaking and said that such mayhem only happens in a banana republic. Republican leaders also spoke out against the violence.
To those who wreaked havoc in our Capitol today, you did not win. Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And this is still the people's house.
The United States Senate will not be intimidated. We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats. We will not bow to lawlessness or intimidation. We are back at our posts.
Trump and I, we've had a hell of a journey. I hate it to end this way. Oh my God, I hate it. From my point of view, he's been a consequential president. But today, first thing you'll see. All I can say is count me out. Enough is enough.
Many are blaming President Trump for stoking the mob attack with his constant baseless conspiracy theories about the election at rallies and on social media. Twitter and Facebook have scrambled to crack down on his claims. Both, as well as Instagram, have now temporarily suspended Mr. Trump's account over his inflammatory rhetoric. Twitter removed some of his tweets and locked him out for 12 hours. It has threatened to make it permanent. Facebook and its subsidiary Instagram have blocked Trump from posting for 24 hours.